Hello everyone! Today we're going to be talking about Carnegie gigantea's, or the saguaro cactus's, ecology and conservation, the role it plays in the Sonoran Desert, and its efforts to preserve this keystone species. There are 7 primary classifications of ecology: microbial, terrestrial, taxonomic, systems, evolutionary, behavioral, and population. We'll be covering 5 out of the 7 of these ecological classifications because microbial and behavioral don't really apply to the saguaro cactus. It's an organism that is not microbial, as you can see, and as a plant, it has very little behavior that impacts the environment on a prominent scale. So, let's cover 3 in 1, terrestrial, taxonomic, and systems. Its terrestrial ecology is in prairie, forest, and desert biomes. This is an image of the Ponderosa forest, I believe, and it has also been found in prairie lands such as Snowflake. However, those populations have greatly diminished from forest fires and invasive species. It is a keystone species, which means it is very vital, especially in the desert. It is a primary resource for a lot of organisms: food, water, shelter. The water from the vascular tissues beneath the surface of the skin, shelter from the vascular bundle or its ribs, and food for a good amount of organisms such as birds and javelinas. You can see right here there's a visual of a javelina chowing down on a saguaro sapling. And population and evolutionary. Now, the population ecology of a saguaro is very interesting. It's divided in these multi-decadal periodicities brought on by El Niños. Basically, when an El Niño occurs, the population increases every 20 to 30 years. There's a big population boom, and the saguaros grow over a slow period of time, which allows a lot of organisms to co-evolve with this sudden population boom of cacti. However, people are afraid that this period of population booms have been afflicted by climate change, which we will get into its threats now. So the organism has never faced this amount of threats in its existence as a species than now. Climate change being the most broad and common. City expansions of Phoenix, Tucson, and Flagstaff, which have threatened its populations, leading to deforestation of the columnar cactus. Bacterial necrosis, which has been brought on by climate change. It's basically an infection that causes the more moist tissues of the cactus to corrode and wither away. Brush and forest fires, which are brought on by a invasive species of grass known as buffalo grass from Africa. It competes with its water resource and outdoes it, but when the summer rolls around, it dies and dries out, leaving a very dangerous kindling for these brush fires. So, what places are in to help out this giant of the desert? Well, let's address the elephant in the room and talk about the Saguaro National Park. Established in 1933, it is just on the outskirts of Tucson City and is the highest density of saguaros in the world. Over 2 million of these cacti are within its 16,000 acres. And it's such a popular national park that it spreads all this awareness for the cactus and its threats. And because it's such a controlled environment, it allows the population to be cultivated and studied precariously to ensure that whatever threats that it's currently facing can be averted. Among the other conservation efforts, there are stents for orphaned saguaro saplings, basically saplings that do not have a nursing plant. These stents help provide them stability when the monsoon season rolls around and they don't have shelter and can be easily knocked over. Exterminating invasive species, specifically the buffalo grass. The buffalo grass is probably the most invasive threat to the saguaro cactus, but there have been great strides in thwarting its invasive population here in Arizona. Relocating endangered populations of this cactus. However, this is the most delicate and dangerous to the organism, so it's rarely done, which follows us into the final and probably the most interesting conservation effort, and that is permits required to cut down cactuses. Basically, you can't take an axe to a saguaro without finding yourself looking down 25 years in prison, which is how you get scenes like this where a saguaro has been built around a house, or the house has been built around a saguaro, and because probably the homeowner couldn't afford a permit, so he just built his awning and porch around this cactus. So yeah, pretty heavily protected here in the city, even though that all these threats are still slowly eroding its population, but only time will tell. And that's all we have time for today. Here are some sources for what I gathered for its ecology and its population. Here's an old photo of the Saguaro National Park. Thank you for your time to whoever watched this, and you have a good night.